And now for something completely different.
Watch us on YouTube.
Listen on your favourite podcast platform.
Or ask your smart speaker
To play the podcast Leicester Till I Die.
Subscribe, like, follow, and join in now.
Strap yourself in.
Because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
This podcast is proud to be part of the Talk Sport Fan Network. Talk Sport. Powered by fans.
And now, here's your host.
He talks right, he knows his stuff, and he knows how to make a girl laugh.
Thank you. I'm here all week. Right, Chris.
All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good day, good night, goodbye. How the devil are you all? Welcome along to Sloppy Seconds. Yes, if you joined in earlier for the show, I was with Doug and we picked who we thought would qualify from each of the groups. We had one nutter that popped in that said North Macedonia were going to do well, and we had another nutter that popped in and said Luxembourg were going to do well. One of those was Brad. I'll leave you to guess which one was which. How are you all? It is question time, Monday at 9 o'clock. It's our last show for a while with the Three Musketeers all together. Well, one of us is Portos. I'm not sure which. And I don't ever remember Jim Davison being one of the Three Musketeers. But let's say hello on his last week before he jets off on his holidays. Dave, good evening, sir.
All right, Chris.
How the devil are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks. I think I'm probably Nobos, aren't I? Something like
that. I never said that. I never said that.
I feel like it.
Have you got your Speedos packed?
I have indeed, yes. Yes. They fit now as well.
That's just the cold weather, mate. What about you going off to Australia?
Indeed, yeah.
Lovely. As you know, I there's a certain part of Australia I love. It's where the World Cup, Ladies World Cup is coming from this summer.
Okay.
Australia and New Zealand. So if you want to kind of stay out there and be our reporter on the ground.
Yeah, well, I would.
I can't offer you any money, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I think I need to get back to see in May to see what's going to happen. I'll be there at Leicester, see us stay up.
Oh, to see whether, yeah. To be honest with you, if I was you, I'd sooner stay up.
I've been in touch with a few Australian supporters groups, and they've told me where to go and watch the games. But I think it's like 2 o'clock in the morning or something. So
it is.
I'm not sure the bars will be open at that time.
Well, I've got to admit, the next Formula One watch along I do is the Australian one in 2 weeks' time. I think that starts at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Whereabouts in Australia are you going to?
You're going to Perth. That's where my daughter is.
Right.
Yeah.
You couldn't be any further away. I went to Cairns, which is right at the top of the northeast. You're at the bottom of the southwest.
Yeah, good news is it's free accommodation for a month.
Well, what can you say? What can you say?
So I'm hoping.
Who are you flying with?
Qantas. Going direct.
Are you going on the direct one, are you?
Yeah.
I went with Singapore via, would you believe, Singapore.
Yeah.
But have a great time. But we'll speak to you before you go, and then we'll find out. Brad, how's Manchester? Nice and warm and cosy.
Oh yeah, it's commonly known as the English Australia. Is Manchester.
The Perth of the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah. Oh, for English fans of cricket, the Sydney Cricket Ground, because it's always filled with disappointment when we play there. So yeah, Manchester is the Sydney Cricket Ground to what England cricket fans.
That was the last time I was there, Brad, at the 5-0.
Oh.
And
God!
I had tickets for Sydney, and it was embarrassing. It really was.
Yeah, it really was.
Still pissed actually at the time.
Well, he was it. They admitted to over celebrating it, didn't they?
Yeah.
I went to Cairns, like I say, northwest Australia, and people saying like, oh, if you get a bit of time, just nip down and see like the Opera House and the bridge at Sydney. It's like flying to bloody Athens. That it's not just a road trip, but welcome along. Dara is in. Evening, gents. How are you, Dara? Welcome along. Thank you for joining us. And I've just lost my other comment, Boris. We will ask that in a second. I just want to start, though, with the topic, which we always start off, and then we'll come and carry on talking and bring the questions and topics from the chat. But I'm going to throw this one at you first, Brad.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, we've got a brilliant new central defender, Amati. How do we manage without him?
Well, it's easy enough for the Amate gang that is Dave. He's the chief general leader of them. He gives out a basket of bounties to anybody who praises Amate enough. So I always win that week. Now, see, the thing is, right? And I understand the frustrations behind Amate, but for me, I'm instantly going to come out and say Amate is a very particular level defender, and this is why I said, was it on the post match I said about Harry Suter being our best signing technically over the two windows, because Amate can play well when he's got a no nonsense bloke next to him, and I phases that to a degree, but sometimes he makes even us lot panic watching him on the ball. Sometimes when there's players around him, Sutar's of the next level, and when he's defending like that and he's just putting it into Rowe's head and he's putting it out for throw-ins and he's kicking it up the pitch so far they're taking a throw-in in their own half, Amate can actually do that defending duty, and that's what he needs to be a successful defender. Sometimes, I said about playing the two types of defenders together doesn't work, and we kind of saw that a little bit when FaZe and Amate played together. They can be solid, but they're both capable of mistakes. And when one or both of them are making mistakes, that's when it doesn't go well for Leicester. But when you've got a Sutar who's Johnny Evans-esque in his no-nonsense strides, he just makes Amate look a better defender, in my opinion. Brings out the best in them.
You're man of the match almost. I think you gave him 10, didn't you?
No, I didn't go that high. Not that crazy. I don't want Dave to fall out of this. I don't want Dave to give him to fall out of his seat just yet. We'll save that to later on in the show.
Yeah. You gave him a 7, though. I mean, can you find any way of saying he had a good game, Dave?
Well, he didn't make a mistake, did he? I can't remember one. No, that's the first time I've seen him not make a mistake. So yes, 7, fine. I mean, I've got nothing against the guy. I mean, he's a Leicester player. He has been for a long time. No, I haven't. I just can't believe a professional makes schoolboy errors like he does all the time. That's my only argument. When people like Danny Ward are getting so much stick. And, when I thought against Southampton, he was our man of the match. And then he's dropped. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I mean, forget that even the penalty save was good, but he did a couple of this. He's not really done a lot wrong that I know of. Yeah, right. The goal, Chilwell's goal, perhaps was, shouldn't have been allowed in. But everybody else has been making mistakes, and they've been picked again.
Well, Amate was for a while, wasn't he? So Ward. Yeah. Let's talk Ward for a minute then. We said, didn't we, Brad, after the game, Everson didn't do a lot wrong, but he didn't really do a lot right because he didn't have a lot to do, and the goal wasn't his fault, really, was it?
Well,
I mean, no. I mean, I know. I said tongue in cheek, Ward would have saved it, didn't I? You knew I was going to do that just for the thing because I'm with Dave. I don't get it. I don't know if it's Leicester syndrome, and by that I mean because Iverson's homegrown and Ward's had a few bad moments in what's been a dire season all round, that fans are so easy to cast him aside. I don't understand if people are suffering from self-club syndrome, like, you know, Leicester fans, Leicester syndrome, is, to make it more obvious, because I wonder if them lot who maybe saw that Iverson, you know, concede that goal and go, it's one of them, it's just a took deflection. I wonder if Danny Ward was in goal, would it have been, fucking hell, Danny Ward this, Danny Ward that, Danny Ward's this, Danny Ward's that, he could have saved it, he should have stayed on his feet. And it just annoys me. I don't get why we have this switch in our brains as football fans that we seem to do this. It's the same with Amati. I mean, Terry there saying, it shows how desperate we've got. What, we're not supposed to praise a Leicester player when they have a good performance? I don't think he's up to the calibre of what Leicester are hoping to achieve, which is battling for the top 8 of European football. But I will be damned if you don't say that Amati could not get in some of these Premier League defensive sides and do a good enough job for other clubs. You know, we didn't pay a lot for him in the main frame. Let's remember what we brought these players for. Did we buy Daniel Amati with the intention of playing them as a starting centre-back? No. Did Daniel Amati ever come in here thinking he was going to be nailed on, picked in the 11? If you consider the centre-backs we've had since he's been here, we forget he's actually technically part of the Premier League winning squad, right? You think of the parents that he's had to sit behind. Do you think we ever signed him and said, yeah, by the way, we're going to make you our number one choice centre-back over Hoover Morgan? Or we're going to pick you over Maguire? We're going to pick you over French Voldemort? We're going to pick you over our, Turkish tearaway when he was actually playing for us and had his head screwed on, aren't you? No, he came in here to fight for a squad role. I think some people expect absolute brilliance of the top caliber from certain amount of players that, yes, have been gifted a lot of game time, but as we talk about week in, week out, Chris, it ain't because they're the fittest option and the best player. It's because they're the only option at times. And I just think certain players from certain sections of fans, and this isn't aimed at you, Dave, in terms of Amati, because I can laugh about it and I do see where you're coming from. It is, because you're right. Shh, we'll keep him on the show long. But my point is, maybe evaluate what he is as a player and what he's actually meant to be as a squad, and not expect him to perform like an absolute superstar for 38 out of the 40-odd games a week, because he's not. He was never brought in to play that role for us.
I've got to just say, by the way, before we move on, a comment that I received post-match, after the post-match show, was the guy on the right is making a lot of sense. And that was you, Brad. You were on the right, I believe. So that was on the post-match. So no idea who he is. Apparently he's gone back into the mental home, but he did say he was talking about
I would like to thank my mother for raising me. I'd like to thank my fans. This award and prestigious.
I think he was more dragged up, wasn't it?
Switch him off for fuck's sake.
But look,
can I just say, in my defence, Amati is a midfielder. I think we brought him as a midfielder.
Technically, he's he comes across more as a jack of all trades and
but I think
at some.
He'd be better in midfield than Samari, because that's what people saw in him. And I think Amati in midfield would be okay. Because he can make mistakes there. That odd mistake is not an issue because they all do it. But when you do it in the back four, as we know, like the goalkeeper, and you're screwed, then the spotlight goes on you. And he's not a defender. Okay, you're right, Brad. He's doing a decent job for what he is, but I think he's a good midfielder.
I think
he was originally registered as a CDM for Leicester, wasn't he?
I think what we've got to say is we would be totally have been fucked without him.
Exactly.
Well, we would the way Brendan's treated our two central defenders. Yeah.
Oh yes, and I think as
Forget
well
how good they are.
You've got to think that it's a bit like a Phil Neville, if you like. Jack of all trades, master of none, if you like. But I want to come on to Danny Ward because you mentioned Danny Ward. I don't think he's particularly done much wrong. You've got a goalkeeper that we bought as backup, let's be honest with you, to Schmeichel for £12 million, which is a hell of a lot of money for a backup goalkeeper. Due to the form and the fact that Schmeichel never got injured, he never really got that many games. He only ever appeared in the cups and then only in the early rounds. And he hasn't really kicked up any fuss or anything like that. So, he's done his job. So he hasn't had that chance to, because we don't have a reserve team anymore, do we? It's down to the youngsters. So he's not going to get regular football. So he came in this season. And like I've always said, when you put a goalkeeper, it could be Gordon Banks behind a top four that's changing every couple of weeks, from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to even if it's a 4 for 2 weeks, it's different players within that 4. Any goalkeeper, hopefully you would agree with this, Brad, any goalkeeper would struggle. But Dave, do you think Ward is suffering from the fact that he followed Schmeichel, just as Chilwell, I think, struggled with the fans because the fact that he followed Fuchs, and a bit like Daka is struggling because he's following Vardy? When a player comes in and follows people that are legends like that, and I don't use that word lightly, I think all those 3 players were, I think any player that replaces them, unless they hit the ground and they're absolutely perfect spot on from day one, they're not always going to have get the fans back in, are they, Dave?
No, it's possible. I mean, I never really thought of Chilwell replacing Fuchs. I know they're both left backs or were, but I never saw it that way. Schmeichel, we used to moan like hell about him because he couldn't come out for crosses. He'd never catch the ball on crosses. Danny Ward is pretty good in the air. He's pretty good with those crosses. Okay, Schmeichel, you can never be better than he was on stopping. I mean, nobody in the Premier League. So that's going to be a hard act to follow anyway. I think, who was the other one you said?
Vardy and Daka.
Well, nobody's going to follow Vardy, are they? But we would like Daka to have a chance to follow him. And we'd also like 2 forwards, but that's not going to happen. And
Brad,
none of them are good enough to play up front on their own.
No. Brad, do you think that does, not saying it makes them a bad player, because Chilwell, England left back, and still getting booed by some of our fans. Some fans you just can't please. And do you think it's because of who? It's like managers. Whoever followed Martin O'Neill was going to struggle. Whoever followed Sir Alex Ferguson was going to struggle. And is it not the same? And I think with Fuchs, Schmeichel and Vardy, I think we're all looking at fans' favourites there. And whoever's, say, follows them, do you not think they're going to have a bit of a fight on their hands to win the crowd over?
Well, yeah, of course you are. I mean, that's anywhere. Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, Man United. And I mean, well, Man City fans, I mean, the ones that remember the Championship and Division 1 days, not these ones that only have been in there since the rich, because they don't know loyalty. He says tongue in cheek. But yeah, you have that. We have that.
Like, I mean, in the Facebook group just to follow the Brazilian, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I know exactly right. Yeah, only wants all the content, but only wants really Tete stuff. But yeah, I mean, and you get that everywhere as well. But I mean, it was the same with Heskey when we sold him. I mean, we all know, and you've had the interview, guys. Check that out after this. With Collymore, the infamous. I always say, the ones that got away, I know Heskey was the move, but I always say that was the partnership we missed out on as Leicester fans. We were robbed of it. We all have expectations. I mean, Casey Keller, did we really think he was going to do what Kevin Paul was doing for us in Division 1? That was a big boots to fill. He filled it. Tim Flower was a little different because he had experience, and so was Walker. But we've had periods where these keepers that we plucked from divisions or someone's reserves, and everybody's gone, oh no. And then look when we actually gave them time, then, look at what they went on to achieve. I mean, Casey Keller to this day is still my favourite Leicester goalkeeper, always will. There's a sentiment story behind that as well, but he always was. I loved how athletic he was and flew around the goal. And I don't know. I did hear what Rogers said about how he sat down and had a long chat. So I would like to think it hasn't dented Danny Ward's confidence too much. I'm sure it's going naturally because he's been dropped from the number one responsibility. But I wonder if maybe his confidence has got to a point where the performances were showing in training, and that's what made him make the call. Went, look, you need to step out of the limelight. I do see you as a keeper that we can have here, but obviously your confidence taken off. Let's get you back to ground zero and give Iverson a chance. The problem is every fan base has it. Like I said, the Leicester syndrome in terms of, I wonder if fans would be screaming for Alex Smithers to be stepping in if he was our number two and we didn't have Iverson. You know what I mean? I get he's a Leicester lad and I always want the youngsters that come up to do well. I was one of them that didn't actually really boo Chilwell or anybody that's ever developed through because I like the fact that the system is showing faith in. I think we're one of the few clubs that still remember how the youth system works. I just think it's met with a twinge of Iverson's a homegrown boy. He's not, but he's in our reserves. He's one of us. He's been here years. Give him a shot. And it's like we're in a bad time and drew and beat League Two side 1-0. I mean, I would argue at least Danny Ward had to make penalty saves against the likes of Man City and and Wolves when he played cup games, didn't he? Yeah. He didn't get too many Peterboroughs.
Dave, you still with us?
I'm with you.
Okay. I can breathe now. I can breathe, guys. Sorry. It's my union obligation. It's my union obligation that will take my membership back.
Listening and learning. I can't believe Casey Keller's your favourite goalkeeper. Mind you, you're young, aren't you? That's the difference. I mean, I grew up with Banks.
It's my era, and I have a sentiment reason behind it, actually, as well, more than that.
But you do when you've got. I do think when you've got a player like I'm going to use Christian Fuchs as the example of everybody wanted him to score a goal. Everybody loved him. It was Fuchs whenever he got free. The guy was just loved. He was. You can remember the egg trick that he did with Okazaki in training. He's just a guy. So whoever follows that is always, in my opinion, going to struggle. But I want to come back now to, I think it was last week when we looked at the potential table as it would expand over the.
That went well, didn't it?
Oh yeah, well you mean that season we finished in Europe because we predicted it.
I'm not sure what happened because the points did seem to go up every week, but some teams ended up having played only 35 games. I'm not totally sure what happened, but looking at, I know it's a often used word, Dave, but 6-pointers and every game's a cup final. But I'm looking at the games we've got left, which I think is 11 now, isn't it? And I've picked out some here, which are Palace, Wolves, Leeds, Everton, and West Ham. They are all the teams that we are playing that are in and around us. They are the real cup finals. They are the real 6-pointers, are they not, Dave?
Well, I'd have thought we'd have beaten Leeds, Everton, Palace, but I'm not so sure now. Palace have done the managed job. Everton showed a little bit of bottle, didn't they, at the weekend? And Leeds, well, a lot of bottle. We don't show that bottle. We need to go back to the old Leicester that was a cup team and fighting for every ball and chasing down the opposition. And not thinking we're better than anybody else. Unless we do that, like Leeds, Everton are doing. Palace aren't yet, but if they get, well, they're not getting Roy back, are they? Surely.
If they do, they go down.
Yeah, they might get if they get.
We hope they are. We hope they are.
Steve Parish will probably go for Sam Allardyce or somebody like that. Because,
Gary Megson, just to go old school.
Yeah. Who was it who screwed them for a few million? No, Tony Pulis, wasn't it? They could get him back.
Yeah.
But I think those 3 games now suddenly become a little bit more difficult than they were. I see Bournemouth at home being okay, and Wolves at home. Yeah, I think we'll be okay there because they still can't score that many goals. But those 3 worry me now. They didn't a fortnight ago.
Brad, your thoughts on those games?
I mean, let's cut the crap. Them 4 games, we just can't lose them. I think that if you cut it down to brass tacks, especially if you include the other 2 teams that Dave mentioned, like Wolves and Bournemouth, playing them teams we cannot afford to lose. And if we don't lose them games against them, it might just do it. I think if you come out of them games, and even if it's a draw, say at Palace because they're away, and maybe pick up a win, the odd win here or there, out of them 4 to 6 games, I know you're looking at the 3 sort of as a cluster of fixtures. I think if we come out of them unbeaten with a win here and there, that's how we stay up this season. I don't think it matters the Liverpool, the Man City game, and anything a little bit more difficult than that in between, like Fulham. I think look at who's around you. Go right. We don't lose to you. We stay up, and that's where the mentality needs to be. I would happily take 1 or 2 wins out of them 6 games if we don't lose the other 4.
Well, if we were to win, 3, 6, I've just been giving us 5 points for a win. That'd definitely keep us up, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, that's Jock Wallace bonus points. That I like that.
If we were to win all of those games, we'd get 18 points and we would be safe. There wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, Villa are up next after the break. Oh no, Palace are up next after the break, so they may have the new manager bounce. Villa, I'm prepared to say that we'll probably or could well lose that one, and that. Man City, I don't expect to get anything from. Fulham, who knows? We might end up playing, a 5-a-side Fulham team if they carry on like they did the other night. Liverpool, Newcastle. I don't expect West Ham to be there, but I mean, can you imagine, Dave? Last day of the season, hosting West Ham, we need to win that to stay up. It's like, here we go again against Stoke, isn't it?
Yeah, God, yeah. I booked the night in the Holiday Inn Express as well. Just ready to celebrate big style.
I expect a live feed from there if we stay up. I mean, hopefully it's going to happen before that, but
yeah, it would be nice.
Those games, I mean, West Ham, I've just got a feeling that they're going to get out of it, to be honest with you. So I had forgotten Bournemouth, I've got to be honest with you. But Bournemouth, Palace, Wolves, Leeds, Everton, we've got to be winning those games.
Yeah. And the problem is, the way we're playing at the back, I can't see it. Because every team now seems to know. Things like we never cover the wide men. We don't play... We play a sort of centralised back. Even we played 4 at the back, didn't we, on Saturday? And we still let a goal in from wide. And we do it all the time. We never seem to, when I'm sort of sitting there watching and there's a right winger who's way out there screaming for the ball. Any defender we've got there is on the penalty box. And you're thinking, hang on, if he gets the ball, all he's got to do is stick a decent cross in and we've had it. And Chelsea, we had it with Chilwell. Nobody picked Chilwell up. And Saturday, okay, it was a bit of a farce anyway. Why everybody ran out like headless chickens, I don't know. But I suppose that's when you've got Tete and Barnes trying to defend. Barnes had the biggest guy in the box, I think, and then he ran away and left him. Whether the keeper called out, which he should do, but not like that.
Maybe Barnes is scared of heights.
Yeah. Probably.
He didn't fancy getting up for that. He was like, no, I'm not doing it.
I mean, why put him on him? We've got a giant at centre half. Why is a small guy picking up a big fella?
Our new set piece coach, I think, has been hanging around Brendan too long. We used to have that problem before.
Well, he used to put Ndidi on the tallest bloke in the box, didn't he? He used to do that, so it's nothing new.
But Brad, I mean, I did the show, the soapbox show on Leicester Pitch on Sunday morning. I think this was my deadline for Brendan going. Yesterday and today, if he was going to go, that's it. Now I think we are stuck with him till the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
He will be gone, I think, at the end of the season, no matter which way we go, whether we go up or down, because we can't have another 2 seasons like we've just had if we want to be the club that we thought we wanted to be. And if we go down,
when's his contract out, Chris?
I'm
2
not
years.
Sure. I think it is, but I'm not sure. But I wanted, as I say, I mean, Terry's just said there, one draw against Brentford, and that's done, all cracks papered over again. I just want to read what Matt Piper was saying after the match on the When You're Smiling podcast on the BBC. Former Leicester winger Matt Piper said he saw grit and quality that he had not seen for some time in the second half performance that secured Leicester a 1-1 draw at Brentford on Saturday. Speaking on the latest When You're Smiling podcast, Piper said, "This was a really good second half performance and a really good point on the road. I'm hoping this will kickstart these last 10 games now. We need to take that desire, that fight, determination. I've seen grit and quality in that second half that I've not seen for some time. That's really good to see." Now, I can't argue with Matt Piper because he's obviously an ex-player. He knows what he's looking at, but it was good, but I don't think I was watching Brazil, which is basically how he's almost described it.
Well, he's seen most of all the games this year. And when you see the Chelsea game, when they were flat as pancakes and nobody cared, nobody bothered, not even the manager bothered, then anything's better. And Brentford, we did all right, but we should have beat them. We should beat Brentford.
Brad, I mean, Terry says there, one draw against Brentford, like I just said, and that's all they've done papered over. We're giving probably Brentford a bit of a bit of a wet flag there, because they're better than the fact that it's just Brentford that's got promoted. They are the Leicester of a few years ago that are going for Europe.
Yeah, you have to respect the run that Brentford are on. You have to respect the season that they're having. They're having a very good season. There's no divine right to beat anybody in the Premiership, let alone a side that very rarely drops any points at home this season and is having a good season. But it certainly doesn't paper over any of the cracks. We're not sat here suddenly thinking we're safe, we're going to turn it around, we're going to stuff Palace, stuff Everton, stuff Wolves and Bournemouth. But what we are saying is, for all the dross we've had to sit through since beating Spurs, the dross we've had to sit through as fans, this season alone, knowing how it is, we just have to take some positives from it and look at it as a retrospect. I think Brentford fans, if the shoe was on the other foot and they'd got a point against us, they'd be sat here going, "Hold on a minute, we're fighting for our lives. We deserve that point. We kept ourselves in the game and we really went at you in the second half. We didn't do it,
Which they did at the King Power. Was it second game? First game, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first game, and and the way we start
on that one.
Yeah, I mean the way the season started, that first half. If you was to say, you pause the game right now and says, right, who's going to go on and challenge for the top 7 and who's going to be struggling down the bottom come March, you wouldn't have put a penny on it being Brentford up there in 8th, 9th, 7th sort of area come March after that first half. But the way he got them going in the second half and the way the seasons have panned out since, you can't just turn your nose up at a point against Brentford, especially when you look at the season. You don't play a team and go, "Oh, they've had one good season and 10 bad ones, so they're still a shite side." No, you take them on face value. And the face value is Brentford are having a really good season and don't fear anybody. So it's a good point. It doesn't paper over the cracks, obviously, but it's still a good point to take.
Dave, Gemma, a Brentford fan, says, disappointing not to take all 3 points, but another accomplished performance. Frank's stock only rises. I think Frank is everything that Brendan's not at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. What's Mendy done? Can I interrupt?
Can we come on to Mendy later? Sorry, mate. We get going off at sidetracks here.
Tangents. I like them.
Do you think Brentford? Was talk at one point about Frank? We were going to be going after Frank. He ain't going to come now, is he?
If we stay up, he might. Martin O'Neill realised his ambitions because he knew he couldn't take us any further with that ground. You never know. What's the capacity? About 14,000.
something like that. I mean, I'd like to say that he wouldn't, because he'd have some integrity and commitment to Brentford, and who wouldn't? And this was the same for Claudio. This is the same for anybody who's ever done it. Who wouldn't want to go down in that club's history books as the first manager that took them on a European journey? Group stages to work. So if he got them into Europe, Graham Potter bizarrely did it to Brighton, and look how their season's going. They look like they're going to achieve a very successful season, potentially even an FA Cup final still to be had. So, it shows it doesn't always work when you jump ship, Mr. 10th place Chelsea. So maybe Frank will look at that and go, you know what, I fancy my chances, especially if we get into Europe next season. I would love him, and that as a manager, I think he's got the right attitude and caliber for it. But I would absolutely 1,000,000% respect him to stay at Brentford. Yeah. And again, if you want to take perspective with the result, like you said, Chris, a Brentford fan's come in here and said, "I'm disappointed we didn't beat you," basically, and that tells you how confident that Brentford fan was given their home form.
Yeah. We'll come on to say Mendy in a second, Dave, but Boris just asking here, why did they play Barnes on the wing when, as we all saw on Saturday, he's much more effective down the middle after he switched with Daka?
Yeah, I think, didn't we on one of these shows say about Barnes playing in the middle? I think I said on the wing he's not really very effective. Shove him down the middle, Maddison behind him.
When Maddison was out injured, I said put him in, give him that freedom in the middle.
Yeah. I mean, I think we probably all generally agree he's not a winger, but the manager thinks he is. Not just a winger, then go past people. I think his comments were not push and run, isn't it?
He's had joint. Well, he's now ahead of that. He's number one top scorer for the club this season.
Yeah, well, that doesn't say a lot this season, does it? To be fair.
I mean, Brad, who if we bring him in, and maybe him and Maddison behind, if we stick with a lone striker, but who would you then put on that left wing?
The thing is, you don't need to do that. You don't need to completely scrap the wing, because if you look at when Barnes is on the wing and how we're actually playing, he's only out on the wing when we're trying to absorb a bit of pressure, keep the score low and get ourselves through to half time. When we're defensive, like we were in that first half against Brentford, and Brentford were running rings round us, he was out on the wing. When we went 1-0 down and came out in the second half and that's very true. And switched it up and went, and because we had to, we went more attacking. The role he got given then, and when we're attacking, that's when you see the best out of Barnes, is he gets moved from the wing and he gets brought into an inside forward. So we don't need anybody on that left wing. Barnes only plays it now as a defensive duty in games where we're either away from home or we're playing higher caliber opposition, in the likes of Man City, Man United, where Brendan goes, right, lads, we're going to see this out to 0-0, you beautiful human beings, and if we're still in the game, then we'll go attacking and allow you to play your football. It's almost like, when you tell a kid if they do all the chores, they can go and play on the Xbox or PlayStation for an hour. That's how Brendan has Leicester doing it at the moment. 45 minutes. It'd be nice when they do it for 90, Terry. That'd be brilliant. If they could have ever done that at any point in the season consistently, we'd be a lot happier. But
even last season.
Yeah.
I mean, Eagle. That's going to be your name from now on. It's on the screen. That's your name. I get confused with Barnes because the other day he went down to the byline, put a cross in, and we got a goal. The other day he came inside and he got a goal on his own, but he is coming inside a hell of a lot more than he's actually going down that wing and getting a cross in, which is when he can, in fairness, probably be more effective.
Well, if you remember when he was on loan at West Brom, that's how he got a lot of his goals, and they were crackers. And he came to Leicester, and I remember thinking, great, this is going to be brilliant. And it took him about half a season to get close. I think he's seriously a confidence player. I know lots of them are, but Barnes particularly. When we're on fire, when we're doing well, it's like Tete, I'm sorry, but I can't see it. I'm assuming we'd have to be really on top for him to play well. Because I've seen nothing. I don't think
in
I've
the
seen
Mercury. Anything. It says Brendan Rodgers set to keep faith in underwhelming Leicester City star. But how many of these do we have to go that are going to be underwhelming? You know, he's come into a team that is not performing, and we are expecting him to be Mahrez Mark II.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know,
And the problem is that, and you love this part, so you'll be glad that I'm bringing it up. When you go and show us the heat map on the post match, Chris, where's he? I know it's not much on this one, and I know it wasn't a lot on this post match, but where do we normally see the majority of him getting the ball and being around? It's in our own half. He's doing a defensive work. It's very, very strange. You know, you can't ask a light bulb to light up your room without screwing it in so it's in its proper place. And you can't ask a right winger to get you goals and assists and light the place on fire when he's struggling to get the, helping everybody at the back, trying to win the ball back in his own corner flag. You need to be able to allow the person to do the right roles. And it's the same with Barnes, like I said, and it's the same problem we've got with Tete. If you're telling them to get back and defend and you want your winger to be able to track back and help out, I'm all for it. Great. But allow him to get forward and play to the strengths of the attackers, and we might actually see what we're potentially spending £25 million on.
I'd be tempted to leave the two up front for things like corners and free kicks. I mean, there's no point in them defending. I haven't seen Tete defend properly anyway. So leave them up front. You're going to take, 3 defenders out? So that's going to take a few of their players and give us some outlet. We've never got an outlet.
Yeah. You know? It's Brendan says here, talking about Tete, it's the level. You come in that first week, it's all exciting, and you produce a fantastic performance. And then the opponents that we've played against have been really tough opponents. It's been a challenge for him.
Oh, Jesus. He's supposed to be a world-class player, isn't he?
Well, a world-class player with a world-class coach.
Yeah, well, I mean, steady on with the world-classness. I mean, he did come from the French leagues.
Yeah, true.
Mahrez and Kante.
Yeah, I know, but they're 1 in a million, and that's all we talk about them as 1 in a million. So yeah, I'll let it pass. He's no Rashid Gazelle, at least. I will say that.
I suppose Mahrez took a year, didn't he?
He was dropped out. He was dropped in the championship over Canuck.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an excellent point, Dave. Let me ask you this then. Are we expecting too much of players? Because I know you're going to hate me saying this, but Fofana came in and he absolutely hit the ground running. And thank God he did, because, he wasn't he was going to come in and go into our development squad. And we weren't probably going to see him for a year or two. But he came in, he had to play, hit the ground running. And as it happened, he swam rather than sank. But we then expect Samare to be this championship winning sort of player that he was in France. We expect, Daka to come in and be scoring at 2 goals every game. Are we expecting these players, like you say, Mahrez, as brilliant as he was, took ages to settle. Took a while to get the team. Are we expecting too much of the players?
But we paid 4 million for Mahrez. Or was it 400,000?
Yeah, but it was different times, wasn't it? But the actual thing I'm saying is, are we
relatively?
But are we still saying, if we pay you 20 million, we expect you to hit the ground running? But if we pay 4 million, then no, we'll give you a bit of time to settle in.
No,
I don't think you can.
No?
I don't think you can. No, because I think the £20 million player might still be coming from the French league. He's coming into a different country, no friends, no family, and a different level of playing and a different style of playing. Whether you pay
guy at Man City not done so bad this year, has he? And he comes from Germany, but he ain't done bad, has he? First year in the Premier League.
No, but then we had Fofana, who did that.
We did, and we've had some shockers. And I'm saying, if we're paying that sort of money out, I would rather buy a dozen £4 million players from French League Division 2 that have got, potential talent, because then at least you're not wasting your money.
Like Diabate.
Well,
Yeah, they don't all work out. If every transfer you ever made worked out, then teams would be very boring, though. And so would Leeds. Leeds would be.
You have the casting vote then. 20 million, 20, 30 million you expected to settle in quicker than if we paid 4 million for a player?
The pressure's on more from fans' expectation, yeah, but me personally, it takes as long as it takes. Again, whether we like it or not, the French Voldemort's going to be a successful world-class defender. He's going to get caps for France. He's going to do well at Chelsea in the back line. Whether Chelsea overall do well is up to Potter, not him. But we know that is. And yes, it's great that Leicester have had these gems. But the thing is, what we're forgetting is... When we signed Mahrez, we didn't have any expectations because he only cost us 400 grand. We probably thought this was one of them, bulk up the squad. He ain't going to get in because we had Knockout. And he hit the ground running, and it was like, wow. Well, he didn't. When he got settled in and he showed us what he really could do, and we built him up over that year, wow, what a player. And it's the same for Kante. I know he did it flash in the pan straight off, and same with Voldemort. But he doesn't necessarily do it. Sometimes you have these... And again, these contracts are a bit weird, and you want to prize an asset away. And you look at, like you said, title winners, right? We sold Drinkwater for 35. We were kind of sold up the river on Kante, but we had the negotiations. It was sort of in the move that Chelsea were sort of interested, but weren't willing to commit. And anyway, but my point is, we sold them for 40 million, 50 million, 60 million, 80 million. With, you know, the French leagues, you can't command that value. We took a title winner that was the French version of Leicester from winning it from nowhere sort of thing, and we only paid 23 million. You still have to adapt. Once in a blue moon, like I said, we've been very blessed over the last 5 years to find a good handful of them players that have done that. But once in a blue moon, someone will get paid a modest fee and they'll adapt to it. Sometimes you've just got to make them go in.
But as Terry said there, for me, Mahrez had, like you said, Mahrez had competition from Knockout, so he wasn't thrown into the team straight away and expected to do it.
Exactly.
Tete has no competition, therefore maybe he's expected to go in and do it.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't do it, then we're playing Pratt, who I'm sorry isn't a winger, Maddison, who isn't at his best on the left side. All I'm saying is I do honestly think some of these players... Kevin Keegan, when he went from, was it Stockport, I think, to Liverpool, he never saw the first team at Liverpool for at least a season. He was playing in the reserves. They didn't throw him in and say, go and do it now. So I just think we expect too much of these players straight away. Don't get me wrong, if we get somebody from another Premier League club, it's different because they're England-based, they've got the friends, they've got the family. You know, they're used to playing to the English style. But what I'm saying is you get somebody, yes, you get the odd one, like you say, Haaland, Fofana, Kante, we've had them, but not every player is a Haaland, Fofana and Kante. You know.
But we need them now, that's the point, so why buy them?
It's a gamble.
Wait till next year.
Yeah. But that's the thing as well. That's the thing as well, to kind of add to your point you just made there, Chris. Sometimes it's not even expectation. Sometimes it's you know, so to quote Princess Leia, help us, Tete, your only hope, because we haven't got another right winger. You know, that pressure is on it. It's more of desperation than it is. Can any of you honestly?
But I don't.
I know. well, I wanted to go down the you know, the hope is only one Kenobi, but I'll leave that one there. But no, the thing is, cast your minds back, and it's all right saying, and I get that Knockout and Mahrez was a bit of competition for each other, but we talk about some of these players that we've signed and they have been a success and they got straight in the squad, they did well. Did any of you genuinely sit there and think, well, 400 grand for a French League 2 player called Riyad Mahrez, yeah, he's going to be a success? Did we spend? No, we didn't. You know, we know nobody here, and if you say you were from the off, you're lying. You know you are, right?
Well, I didn't like him first season.
I mean, didn't he?
He dived all the time.
Well, yeah. I mean, didn't he also flee St Mirren's training ground? Wasn't it him that turned up and robbed the bike and left it? But you know what I mean? It's well, no, you can't. But you know, sometimes we're in a desperate situation. If we had a backup right winger, and before you say it, no, I mean a decent standard backup right winger that isn't called Perez or Diabetes. I'm in a bit of competition like Mahrez had, that I don't think there'd be this expectation around Tete.
Expectation or desperation?
Bit of both. bit of both. Expecting because we're desperate, I suppose you could say.
I mean, even let's go back to the point that Dave made, and I'll come back to you because it was your point, is that you pay more for a player and you therefore expect him to do better. And well, not do better because you obviously that goes without saying because you're paying more for them, but you expect them to settle in, etc., better. We unfortunately, as a club, can no longer go and buy the likes of a Tielemans for 40 million. You know, I was reading. We chased the dream to try and get into the top 4, and we failed just short and ended up 5th. That is why. And this isn't me talking. This is Rob Tanner from the Athletic. That is now why we are financially in the position that we were. Had we sold Tielemans for 40-odd million, we would have been fine, or Madison, whatever. But obviously that didn't happen. So we're not in the position now that we can go and buy a Haaland or an Odegaard or anybody like that. We do have to shop at the slightly cheaper end. You know, we're not in Aldi like we used to be. But we're certainly in Asda rather than Waitrose, where we did shop for a while. And we all know, look at the money that Ranieri spent, and it didn't work out. I just think we've got to give, and I know we're in a difficult situation, but we have to give these players time.
Why have we come away from the Leicester model that was lauded all across the world almost? We buy these players. We've got great scouting.
Well, Rodgers came in, didn't he? And he bought two South Coast defenders that we put 9 past.
Yeah, but why? Why are we not still having the same scouting methods and system that we had? It just doesn't make sense.
We do. We have gone back to that. I mean, I think we lost it a little bit with Ranieri when we'd won the Premier League. We were going out and thinking, right, we can now go and buy. Who was it we bought up front?
Slimani,
that's it. And the other midfielders that we couldn't play because we missed it by 13 seconds. We were going out and buying these players because suddenly we could, rather than sticking to the old. Because we thought we got too big for our boots, possibly. But I want to come back to your point about Mendy. Dave, do you think, I said this the other day, as a manager, you dread getting the vote of confidence from the chairman? Can you get a vote of confidence within a month or so, you're out? That's how it happens. Is it the same with Rodgers as a manager? That if you get a bit of credit off Brendan Rodgers, you're not going to see the first team again?
Well, this is what I don't get. I mean, he talks as if everybody's training well. We all trained well this week. We did this. But then you never see him play. Mendy's last game, I think, I didn't think he did much wrong. I've seen him make, the goal he scored, that wonder goal, he made 2 dreadful mistakes before that, and that could have conceded 2 goals. But was it Tottenham? I can't remember now. Was it Spurs game? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Spurs were so bad they couldn't take the chances. But Mendy played, he did a Samari at the back where he just passed the ball to the opposition. And I thought, oh God, here we go. But then, he did all right and he scored. The next game, I thought he played pretty well. But then he's got dropped, and I can't see why. Unless I've missed something. Guys,
he got praised, didn't he, Brad? He's the perfect defensive midfielder. He's what I want. And then, as I say, not unlike the praise that was doused on Hamza Chowdhury after the Liverpool game.
Yeah.
And then he goes and drops him. I mean, players must be fat. I'm almost wondering if players go out and say, I'm not going to play well today, because if I do, Brendan Rodgers will praise me and then I'll never play again. Maybe that's why we're in the trouble we are.
No, it's farcical.
All right, I accept.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite farcical to say. I get it. It does look that way, but I think I'm going to be a bit bold on my statement here. I've been ever defiant that Soyuncu's had his head up his arse ever since, that dreaded Bournemouth away game, if we all ponder to remember it, where we got absolutely battered when we were chasing, clinging on to 4th space. His head's been up his arse, and I think slowly people have realised that maybe Rodgers isn't to blame with certain players because he tried to praise Hamza Chowdhury. But if I remember rightly, a certain young Hamza Chowdhury was in that scandal in Thailand. Hamza Chowdhury was deemed one of...
Was he?
Yeah, he was. I'm pretty sure him and James... I'm sure him and Pearson's son... yeah,
allegedly.
somebody...
Allegedly.
Let's say allegedly, but I'm fairly certain it was. Allegedly...
I haven't got deep pockets from my lawyers.
Well,
I don't think it was. It was Pearson's son.
Pretty sure, but allegedly. Anyway, but my point still stands. He was one of the...
You could say he said it.
Yeah, Iggle Piggle was my lawyer.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it was Pearson, Tom Hopper, and Adam Smith.
Oh, Tom Hopper.
We apologise to Hamza Chowdhury for that.
Hamza was involved.
I'm pretty sure he was in the photo.
Yeah, he was involved in the COVID party.
Exactly. So definitely that.
Apologies, Hamza. We're not accusing you of being a sex pest.
I just thought he was in definitely one of the photos. Obviously not, but I just
we can move on.
No, because that just was the point.
It cost us 3 points at West Ham, which would have got us into 4th place, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, Hamza's a bit of a dodgy case as well, because like I said, he seemed to just be very troubled ever since he's been through our youth. And, you know, also he had that game against Liverpool. Oh, I didn't know anything. I just made a point. I just wrong. I said I was wrong with it. But, you know, the training ground thing with the COVID, he just seems a bit of a troubled character. I like him. I want him to do well, but I don't know how Watford fans are saying about him on loan. I'd like to hear that. But the many things actually tapped.
You never know what he's going to do.
You know, there's no smoke.
There was a Watford fan that used to come in quite a lot when they were in the Premier League. No, he actually popped in to a chat I was on. I don't think it was on my channel. I think it was on another channel. And he actually said, please, can we keep him? I think he's doing all right for Watford.
Well, great. Maybe he's found his level he can play at then, because they're not having the greatest of season expectations. But anyway, more on the Mendy and Ndidi thing is, the thing is, he made it very clear that Ndidi is that defensive-minded defensive midfielder, and he sees Mendy as the one he likes to play to be on the aggressive front foot. And when he's wanted to be on the aggressive front foot, Mendy's been playing regularly and starting. And if you look at how the game's played out, the ones, even the Chelsea one where we lost, he went defensive. So that's why Mendy didn't start. He didn't want to exploit the midfield and leave it open because they were going to flood it. Brentford away, they out-muscled us sometimes, and they outnumbered us definitely in the midfield. I think they had a 3 in midfield against our technically our 2 when it posed them, and then the wingers came in to make it like a 5-on-3 if they needed. So he would have exploited the middle because he likes to get us on the front foot. Like I said to you in the post-match, had that red card incident happened in the 78th minute and not the 88th, 89th minute, he may have been tempted to put Mendy on and go, all right, let's chance our arm and get 3 points and show that positivity. I actually think it's purely tactical for Mendy. And if we got Palace after the international break. If Brendan decides we're going to go at Palace, even though it's at Selhurst Park or whatever they call these grounds, there's that many ground name change and sponsorships, don't know if it's still Selhurst Park.
Yeah, they can't afford another one yet.
There you go. But I if he goes that way, I can see Mendy going into the team personally.
You know what, Brad and Chris, that any opposite manager could pick the substitutions for Leicester without worrying about it, probably within 5 or 10 minutes of when they're made as well. So how can that do you any favours? Samari comes on for one of the other 2, Ndidi or Mendy. You know, Vardy comes on for Daka or all this sort of stuff. And you think, this is so boringly predictable. It's not going to achieve anything. And Vardy spends the next 10, 15, maybe if he's lucky, 20 minutes running around. And that is it. We're wasting what is still could be one of our prized assets. Nobody gives him the damn ball the way he used to get it.
Do you think we need to clone Ndidi and Mendy? and the son of that would have both attributes of blocking and going forward, because one of them's good at one thing and one of them's good at the other.
I'm not sure about Ndidi now. I've not seen him play particularly well. He seems to be bottling out a little bit of the challenges, whereas Samari seems to go through and probably gets booked every game, I think, if he plays. And I don't know. I think the three of them leave a lot to be desired, but indeed he seems to have lost it since his injury. It may be his injury. Don't know. Slowed him down. Who knows?
Well, I think it takes time, but he's probably had long enough to come back.
Yeah.
Mendy, Brad, are we going to see him leave, do you think?
It all depends on Mendy. If he gets told the honesty, which it seems like he has been, and he's fitted into the plans, it all depends on how the meetings go with him and Rodgers. Because if he says, okay, yeah, I'm happy to be a squad player or a regular that gets dropped depending on who we're playing and not because of how I'm playing, he might say, I'll sign a 2-year deal. If the idea is, all right, we're going to lose 8 players off the wage bill, we're going to get a bit of money, we're going to cash in on Maddison, which sounds like the way they're instantly going, Leicester. Sounds like Brendan Rodgers has got, right, there's the deal, take it or leave it. If not, we know where you stand with Leicester and we'll let you go in the summer. I'm expecting early business from Leicester this summer, and if he's not offered a contract, I can't really blame him because he's at that part in his career where he thinks, well, no, if I can do a job like this for a caliber side like Leicester in the Premier League, some club's going to want me, and he might get that free move. But he's one that you wouldn't mind if they signed a 2-year contract sort of thing, would you?
I'd love him to. Dave, I'm going to call you Wiggle then. Dave.
Call me Susan if it makes you happy, mate.
Yeah, well, let's not go down there. That's a show for past midnight. Let me ask you, it's not a trick question. How many signings did we make in the summer?
Was it one? Oh, one, wasn't it?
Not in the. I apologise. Sorry, in the January transfer window.
January.
Sorry. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. Was it 3 or 4? Is it 4?
What's your final answer?
4.
4. Can you name those 4?
I can't name the guy that we loaned out.
Yeah, that's the point I was coming to. Because I have forgotten about him, to be totally honest with you. And going back to what we're saying about players being given a time to bed in, we've brought him over and we've loaned him out to OH Leuven, obviously our sister club in Belgium. Nathan Apoko, he's called. 21 years old from American side Syracuse. He's not featured that much, but how long do you think before we should give him a chance at Leicester? I mean, he's going to be there for the rest of this season. Does he come back, or he'll probably come back for the off-season break and the training? Does he go back there? And I'll ask you the same in a second, Brad. But Dave, does he go back there or for another season, or does he get his chance, with Vardy coming to the end?
The state we're in, I can't believe we bought a player to loan him out. I really can't, because we could end up in the Championship, and we need to make sure we stay up. And if he's half that good, give him a go. Why not?
Clearly, he's not seen it.
Well, nobody knows him, do they? Nobody's seen him play over here. He might just be that guy that does something. The Chris Garland syndrome.
Oh my God, you're going back a bit now.
Yeah, but it worked. It saved us from relegation.
Brad was a Leicester player.
Saved us from relegation.
He did.
Brad, but I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean, what do you think, Brad? I mean, 21 years old. I get maybe the fact of why he's gone over there, but shouldn't we be doing that with, I mean, when you come to think, all right, there's always exceptions, but Rooney was 18 when he was getting hat-tricks in the Premier League. Are we... I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. What are your thoughts, Brad?
It's not the first time we've done something like this. I think it was a case of maybe trying to bolster that side of the squad. You get him brought in. I mean, he was off some scouting thing in America, wasn't it? It was all like a pick you get from over there almost. He was completely free. So we don't know a lot about him. Want to see maybe how, the difference in the game, how it's played over the States to how it is in Europe. Go to Belgium, settle in. He's 21. We forget Dewsbury Hall was 23 before he made his first team debut. Yeah. And if he was ready and we were that desperate, and I know you'll look at Daka and Nacho and Vardy's record this season and go, well, we are desperate, but realistically we're not. We're just because we're getting the goals from elsewhere, which is counting our blessings. But right now it's just like if he came in and we've instantly sent him out alone, that's an intent that we've chanced our arm. We think he looks okay. Let's see how he settles in. If he settles in, he'll probably go into our development. I mean, we talked about it all night about players getting rushed and done. Luke Thomas, perfect example. Fans have gone from going, oh, God, Luke Thomas, get him in, he looks great and amazing. He had that adrenaline and nerves or a mixture of both. That probably got him through that first 4 or 5 games, but he was never expecting to be playing more than that. He was only expecting to come in as cover for an injured player, maybe sit on the bench. He was never probably expecting to have, 30-odd games to his name as a left-back in the first team. And now look where we are as fans. We're thinking, oh, well, we've got Castagnier, we've got JJ when he's fit, we've got Christensen. Maybe now we can loan out Thomas. We're not necessarily in a desperate state in terms of needing that 21-year-old in development. I think it might have some, semantics, some sort of weird thing where we got him in to bolster the revenue and whatever for the sister club that they own. You don't know what politics are going on there as well. But I can't imagine that if we need him, why put him in the first team? Do we want another Bartosz Kaputska? Do we want another Diabate? No, the safe option would be bring him over from the pond, get him used to the European style of football in Belgium, and then if he actually is any good from that little session that they've been able to scout him from, then we make the transition.
I mean, he's just done an interview with Belgian newspaper Het Nieuwsblad.
Good paper.
Anybody that knows me will say, well done, Chris. It says here, Leicester is certainly a dream come true. He had offers from the MLS, in fairness, but his dream was to play in Europe. And he said the difference in level is big with the NCAA, which I'm guessing is one of the leagues in America. So a loan to OH Leuven was necessary. This kind of just sums up our season, really. Did you hear about the Italian chef that died? He passed away. It could have been my ex-wife who actually killed him in a hit and run. Well, she did. She tried to drive past him. Anyway, I'm going to say, Terry, I think you're referring, he was actually a Leicester player that we loaned to Celtic for 2 seasons, had a great first season at Celtic.
Benkovic.
Yeah, Benkovic. He wasn't a Celtic player, he was actually a Leicester player. And I'm going to give Roger some credit on that one, because he obviously looked at him and thought, yeah, you're good enough for the Celtic League, for the Scottish League, but you're not good enough for the Premier League. So
he was made of skin and bones and sticky tape as well, didn't he? He always kept getting injured. I mean, God, if you can't make yourself a settled first team selector in Bristol City, you've got no hope.
Carter Vickers, I've no idea who that is.
He's a youngster, but I thought he was. I thought I recognised the name more as a Tottenham youngster.
Yeah, that's what Douglas just said there. Carter Vickers was at Spurs. But that's the only one I can think of. But I'm gonna end with this comment because I think it will probably just round the show off well. True Red could only be a Nottingham Forest fan comes up with this. Nice international break now to get either Jesse Marsh, Nathan Jones, or Frank Lampard in. I knew that would end the show. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Good night. I did suggest the other day, and You and your soft toys. I'll tell you what.
I've got the whole bloody cast of Night Garden wanting to come on your show.
Oh dear. I did suggest, Dave, to the other day to the gentleman to your right, I guess, as you look at it, or left, I'm not sure which, that we could do with a Frank Lampard, Steve Gerrard dream team, maybe.
Fucking hell.
No?
Allegedly.
I've got to be honest with you. I think he's gone either whether we stay up or go down. I think he's gone at the end of the season.
Do you reckon?
I think I did this show on Sunday morning, and it actually makes sense if we're going to stick with him now till the end of the season, because whoever we bring in will then know what division he's playing in, you know. And I know this is going to surprise you, Brad, because it's probably different to what I was saying on Saturday night, but it just shows what a good sleep can do. But yeah, I think you may have made the comment, you know, whoever you bring in, are they just going to come in for 12 games, even with a big bonus of staying up? We're not going to get anybody that's any good coming in, because look where we are. So you're looking, you know, Sean Dyche, we've missed the boat. But then do we want him past that if we're going to stay in the Premier League? And I just think if we're up with a certain level of manager we can look at, and we can go, and I think we can look abroad, and maybe, you know, people coming up with names that I can't remember. And then if we go down, then that's another level we will be looking at. So I don't know, but I'm hoping that Top's got some ideas, and he's approaching and talking to people, possibly, or reaching out as you do. And it's somebody that's currently working, because I think if it comes to the end of the season, and I think you'll agree, Brad, we're going to have more choice about who we can go for, because not every manager is going to want to do a Rodgers and leave with 10 games left of a season.
No, very true. I mean, I've just had a little bit of a thought of maybe a hot shout for a name that might be an end of a season appointment. And by that, I mean, it would depend on entirely probably where they finish, for the same reasons I said about Frank at Brentford. But Marco Silva, maybe. You look at the job he actually did.
Spurs could be after him.
Yeah, well, trophyless or actually wins things. I mean, I know where I'm going.
I mean, my worry with that one is I see totally where you're coming from. When you look at him, I mean, he had Hull in the Premier League. He had Everton in the Premier League. And I think he had a third team in there as well, none of which he's done well with. He's had, up to the moment, one decent season in the Premier League.
I don't know. Can you look back at his Everton time and maybe think, well, actually, he wasn't doing that bad if you look at where they've been since?
All I know is James said, who's a big Everton fan, was in the chat, was it earlier or yesterday? And Watford, thank you, Doug. Watford was the other team he was with. So,
oh, wow, come on, Watford. Did he have 3 days, 3 months? Which one did he have?
I don't think we count that, do we?
James was saying that he didn't want him back. He said, I wouldn't take Silva back. Thank God, you know, he's not with us now. So, I don't know. I mean, if we're in the Championship, but then would he want to come down to the Championship with us?
Well, maybe not then, but at least you know, with Marco Silva, he's willing to get his hands in passion, because he got himself sent off, didn't he? So at least we know we'd have a bit of passion on the touchline.
I mean,
looking at Boris's comment, if I could interrupt, what about Johnny Evans, Jamie Vardy ticket? It'd get the fans going, wouldn't it?
Get Tony Cottee and them lot back in like it was Peter Taylor days.
And Steve Walsh.
Yeah, get them back.
Would they be allowed because of you need to have your
coaching badges? I thought Johnny Evans would have his coaching badge, wouldn't he? It's about plenty of time to get it.
I don't know. Are they? Okay, I mean, are Jamie Vardy and Johnny Evans? I could see Johnny Evans till the end of the season, but not on a long-term basis. because it's the experience we're going to need to move on if we're still in the Premier League. You're going to want more experience than he can bring. And is he, what the experience of him getting up? I mean,
I don't think he'll get on the pitch, Chris.
Do
I doubt if he'll play for the rest of the season.
Well, no, he won't. He won't. I mean, he'll probably, break his leg walking to the bench.
So what's he doing? What's the point?
We've got him till the end of the season, I guess.
Yeah.
But Dave, I want to say this. Mike says Pochettino, if he would come.
No,
we have to accept we are not going to get these managers. When we went through a list the other day of who's out there, Luis Enrique is being linked with Chelsea, as is Pochettino. They're not going to come to Leicester, even if we stay up.
No, they'll go to Chelsea because of the money, but they won't come to Leicester because we're another Tottenham. We're just better than them at it.
In fairness, I don't think we're even as good as Tottenham at the moment.
Well, we're not, but we're a better club.
No, not this season, but 1 out of 3 isn't bad.
No, that's right. as Meat says over there.
Or Conte, because Conte's surely going to be sacked by Tottenham. He's lost the dressing room now because half the players want him gone.
He's got some passion, say that, but strange boy, isn't he? Allegedly.
Boris, you say no more second-hand manager.
No.
Who is the second-hand manager that you are? Or are you talking about? Well, you can't be talking about Evans because you were suggesting him. Isn't every manager second-hand?
Yeah, you're going to struggle to find yourself a freshly unwrapped manager that's never been tested before. Because I think you send panic waves throughout the entirety of Leicestershire or wherever, and other places where Leicester fans are, because taking on a new manager with no experience or someone who's not had experience at a high enough level, just ask the teams that went down with managers like that. It doesn't bode you well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But but Southampton, I mean, goodness sake, whoever appointed him needs shooting because the guy wasn't even with it, was he, allegedly?
Well, you look at that, and he's
very strange boy.
He's come from Luton, who were doing quite well. Let's be honest with you.
Yes, they were.
So he got
still are,
and still are. Was he any more of a gamble than when we took Martin O'Neill from Norwich?
Oh yeah. Martin O'Neill had cut his teeth on for many years, hadn't he, at that level?
Wickham.
Yeah, I mean,
he done it at Wickham, and then he did it. It wasn't that long at Norwich, if you remember, actually. But
if they interview these people, surely from an interview you could tell whether the guy's suitable or not. And he clearly wasn't. For every interview he did to the press, clearly wasn't suitable. It's just bizarre.
And Martin Allen, was that? I mean, how do we see him?
Well, he's good football.
He fell out with Mandrich, in fairness.
Yeah, I mean, that was just
to be fair, that was a wild season, wasn't it? That was like going on a summer vacation in a, what's the Americans call it? Summer vacation or whatever.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Blindly going around Ibiza for a week off your face and not knowing what the hell happened at the end of it, and then putting the pieces together. That summed up Leicester for that era, didn't it?
Didn't he get a day pass to the old people's home? And he just went in and bought all these ex-players that were still kicking around. And,
well, to be fair, we played some decent football. I mean, what was his last game? Watford at home, 3 or 4-1 or something like that. Brilliant night that was. Yeah.
God, some of the players we had then, like Jeffrey Broomer and Danny Cadamartri.
Hey, legends.
And let's be honest, he fell out with
He knew he was going before that game because he did a lap of honour after the game.
Wasn't it Hasselbank that Mandrich wanted to sign?
Oh,
and
yes.
he was sat in the entrance at what was then the Walkers, and he walked in and he went, "What are you doing here?" And he said, "Oh, I've come to sign for you," and he knew absolutely nothing about it.
Came
and
from
quite
medical.
rightly, I guess. Quite right.
Medical was set up. Yeah.
I mean, it just sounds a bit like Graham Potter, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Quite rightly saying, "What's going on?" And refused to take it. I mean, there's certain players I would have refused. Jeffrey Broomer was maybe one of those, but I wouldn't have returned down Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. I don't think. But
no. Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank was a rare talent. I would have liked to have seen that at the King Power.
Yeah,
that's
maybe
a whole
another one that got away, Brad.
Whole different show, isn't it? When you think we've allowed Brendan to pick his players and look at it, and if you don't allow the manager to manage, then you're saying, well, he's not doing his job.
Yeah. What's the point of having a manager that Well, I suppose right.
Hold on. Sat Brendan now. Tottenham Hotspur to decide head coach Antonio Conte's future in the next 48 hours. Get Brendan out. Get him out. Get him in.
There was a time they would have been considering Brendan Rodgers.
You know what's happened, don't you? You know what's happened.
They've watched this stream and have made the decision.
No, Top was on the phone on Friday to Conte. Look, mate, your job's yours if you want it. Whether it's
we'll back you.
Get yourself out of Tottenham, get yourself sacked, pick up a few bob, and then come to Leicester.
Yeah, invest it in Leicester, and we'll give you a job for 4 years.
Yep. No.
There you go. You heard it here first. Sky Sports News. If you're just looking for it, mate, it says Tottenham to decide head coach Antonio Conte's future.
Allegedly, actually, on the BBC, and apparently Mitrovic is going to get a longer ban.
Yeah, I should think so.
Well,
as much as I hate Man United,
but God forbid Mitrovic, was the wild workhorse of the world and signed for Manchester United, because he would get his ban shortened.
He'd get away with it. Wouldn't have got sent off.
Yeah. Right, guys. Thank you so very, very much.
You're welcome.
That is it again for another question time. We will be back next week. Unfortunately, Dave won't be.
I've got a stand-in. Is that right?
Leaving on a jet plane. You. I don't know. Honestly, you stop bringing your sex toys onto the TV, please.
Only when the granddaughter's here, I have them. So, Macapaka's been dying to meet you.
Don't tell me about your granddaughter's watching after I've just said that.
No, she's hopefully asleep, but they've been waiting to meet you, Chris, for ages.
It is very, very nice to meet whoever that was.
Telling them all that was Macapaka. Been telling them all about you.
When do you fly, sir?
Monday at about 11
in the morning.
Yeah, and we land.
I was at 11 at night. You could have still come on.
Yeah, could have done. I'll be in the air. I'll see if I can get on.
Yeah, do a live stream. Do you remember that Noel's Christmas house party?
Yeah.
They had Fergal Sharkey live from up in the air, and it went completely wrong. We could do it.
They probably got a bit more money than BBC than you have.
Probably, well, if they can afford 1.3 million a year for Lineker, obviously they've got money to waste.
Exactly.
Did I say that out loud?
Oh, allegedly.
Allegedly, of course. Allegedly. Did have a safe journey, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate.
Have a safe flight.
Yeah, have a good one, mate.
I'll try and
we won't enjoy.
I'll try.
Don't bring any spiders back.
Oh fuck no, those snakes as well. We're going camping, apparently.
Oh no!
They just took a picture of one of these black-headed things that's the most poisonous snake in the world, eating another snake. I mean, come on.
I can't see what I'm saying because I would get banned.
No, you would.
You've got to be careful of them blackheads, haven't you?
Yeah, you have indeed.
Can I just say, I went up because I went to Cairns and I was worried about all these spiders and everything that you're going to see when you're over there. I saw one little green tree-hugging frog.
Yeah, you're right.
When I was over there, I never saw, unless I went obviously to a park where they had, the alligators and what and whatever.
Yeah, we went to Sydney last time and we saw one snake in a lake, the most poisonous one, and that was it. Nothing else. A couple of spiders, but that was it.
Yes, yeah. But then again, it's the thought of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I remember before I went, I was doing my year of trying different things, and I had one of those where you go and you get tarantulas put on your hand and snakes around your neck, and it's funny, but in a classroom in Christchurch in Dorset,
it's not funny.
That scary.
No, I couldn't be doing it.
Remember, they're more scared of you than you are of them. You're like, yeah, right, bugger off.
Can I just point out as well, they're not my toys, okay? That last comment, they're not my toys. I promise you.
This I'm not sure about, if I'm honest.
No, seriously, they're not.
We have never seen this alleged granddaughter. I don't even know if you've got a wife. You talk to her off the screen. I don't even know if she exists.
He just lives in that room. He's not telling us the whole story.
No.
There's nothing else here. Just a fake bookshelf, and that's it.
Terry says, Dave, say hi to my family in Geraldton.
Oh, Geraldton.
Geraldton. Is
Wow,
that nearby?
No, it's about 4 hours up the road. But
one of those.
My
Nip to
cousin,
Sydney while you're there, mate. Nip to Sydney.
my cousin Rachel lives there, and she was from Stoke Golding. I don't know whether it's the same.
Dare I say interbreeding going on here a bit? Are you and Terry related?
No, I should. Well, who knows? What was the surname? Rachel Morris. That's right. She lives in Geraldton.
Oh, Rachel Morris. Yeah.
Come on, have a word.
No idea. Have a safe journey, mate.
Cheers, pal. Nice to see you, bro.
Enjoy it with your family when they obviously join you the week after.
Will do. Take care, boys.
Don't think we won't enjoy. All the best, mate.
Don't get arrested either of you while I'm gone. All right.
Try not to. Depends what we're allowed to do. Take care, buddy.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. See you when you're back. 25th of April, he is back, and he will be joining us post that. Brad, top 10 battles. When are you back?
Yeah, should be back this Thursday. Hoping to kick things off, looking at the weekend's fixtures, but there isn't any, so I might do a different international spin on things to our usual show. I did that.
England are playing, mate.
Yeah, I know, right? I looked at the fixtures. I thought I don't remember Manchester United having to play England, but that wasn't the case. So, yeah, I might be doing an international fixture.
The show. You might want to. You might have a few people watching England.
Maybe. So, I'm looking to get in contact with a few people to get the top 10 football 10s quiz. Get another episode of that out. So, yeah, just keep your eye on it. Have a look. There is going to be something that will happen over this week. And where can people find you? Well, you can find me on here most of the time, on the Top 10 Battles YouTube channel, and on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @fulltimefocus.
And last question for you here from Doug. Are you supporting
North Macedonia? North Macedonia. They're winning it, Doug. I never said what Euros on that show. I said they were going to win the Euros.
They're also in the Eurovision, and of course they could be in that as well.
Wow, you see. North Macedonia, mate. England are only cocking up. At least I expect disappointment from Macedonia.
You're not a lover of international football, are you?
I'm really not. I'm really not.
I don't blame you, mate. I really don't blame you at all. But mate, thanks as always for coming on. It has been a pleasure, and thank you very, very much. You've got a weekend off because we've got no match. So I'll see you in a week's time.
I'll see you in a week's time, mate.
And you and me, and no Iggle Piggle.
No Iggle Pickle. It'll be blessed.
It will be. All right, mate. Take care. Thanks very much.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, buddy. And if anybody is into Europe and Eurovision, I'm just going to put it here in the chat. Check out. It's a new channel I'm doing, Eurovision, and I'm going to be reviewing Eurovision songs and the rest, as they say. So please go there, give it a subscribe. Looking back at last year's competition, rating all the songs for this year's, and we'll probably do something to cover it as well. Thank you very much to everybody. Please subscribe if you are new. Smash the likes whether you're new or old. And if you've been listening on your favourite podcast platform, I thank you so very much. And as we always say at the end, take care, stay safe. And here's Arnie.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network.
TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye, and see you next time.
looking for Dr. Goodhead.